Good afternoon. And today's Ace King. So in this hand, we have a early position player that limps. Out of 66 hands, he's playing 67% of hands, 18% for pre-flop raise. The VPIP in early positions 80%. Just overall, you can see he's playing very widely. Big blind has been folding more. So 8 out of 10, 3 out of 10, he did not raise. So out of the 8, 5 times he just limped or called. I think he is going to be pretty wide. Let's do that. Let's take out bigger hands. This player, maybe something like that. Possibly even nines plus. We'll leave the suited aces. I think we'll add all of those. I don't know if I have much on here. No. Called 2 bets from blinds. I know he limped it, called, or raised. That's probably okay. And now it's on us. What do we do? I do think we're going to need to raise. We're going to try to raise to isolate this player. We do have a loose player behind us where he is called 2 bets 55% of the time. So I don't think we make our standard 4 big blind raise. We probably need to make it 7 big blinds if we want to try to isolate him. Really apply the pressure. Now, what should we do on our button? We could probably raise our standard raise. It's going to give us equity edge. We definitely have range advantage here because we'll have all of these hands. And if he calls, which he folds the 3 bet after raise 50%, but when we look at his limp and call, I mean, early position he's limped and called everything. In early position and mid position he limped and called 3 out of 7 times. We don't know what happened there. It could be there was a raise and a 3 bet. So it's kind of tough to say. I did raise, but I didn't raise large enough, and this guy didn't call. Actually, this guy called, and I think he's going to actually be pretty tight. So when we look at his pre-flop calls from the small blind, it's 1 out of 8. He really doesn't play a whole lot from the small blind. So that player, I think we're going to give him a fairly tight range. But notice he didn't raise here, so I think when he just calls, he could be set mining here. Could be calling with something like suited aces, hoping it to hit flop the ace with a draw. A player that's that tight might not even have all of those. Could be just something like that. That's 8%. And maybe not even all of the king queen offsuits. It is possible that maybe he has some of those better suited connectors. That still gives us that 8.3%. King Jack probably folds, but Ace Jack, Ace Queen, King Queen, I think that's probably going to be what range I give him. So definitely he's going to have advantage on his equity edge right now, just because most of his range is made up of these pocket pairs. So he calls, and then this other guy calls, and I think since we already have one caller, he's probably just going to say heck with it. Let me just call 3 more blinds and see what happens. So I'm going to say this is going to be my range. And right now we're dealing with 31.2%, 414 combos, and their range, we've got both of them. So the flop comes down Jack of clubs, 9 of hearts, 5 of clubs. Let's see what that puts us. My range is equity is 30.5. The other twos, so 41, probably because pocket pairs, the possibility that he has ace jack. And we have a bunch of hands that miss this board. So he checks, no big surprise. I think he's going to check everything. He checks, he donks 25% of the time. But I wouldn't be surprised if those donks were more heads up pots. I think if he donks here, he's donking something weak, but we'll just say he checks to us, and now it's to us. Now what do we do? I do think we have players. Villain, we're gonna think he's gonna fold, but I think he could call maybe like tens, eights, sevens, sixes. Could call those. He'd call his jack, ace jack. He would probably call jack 10, jack queen, 10-9, possibly 9-8. He doesn't have a whole lot of clubs because he never didn't really have a whole lot of suited cards in his range. This guy is going to hit a big part of it, and if he's so loose, I mean, you can see his flop fold C bets, really low. I do think he's going to be calling with anything. So, and we don't know. He seems like he calls a lot on the flop, and then probably folds a bit on the turn. So for us, I think we're going to be betting this top pair for value, and then I think we're going to be betting flush draw, open-ended straight draws. I think gut shots. I think these combo draws, and maybe these heart draws. Would it be all heart draws? Because so right now we're c-betting 37.6% into two players. If we add all of those, that's 42%. I think the overcards we might be able to bet as well, because I think villain one's just going to fold a whole lot. And the question is, if we bet those overcards, what are we going to be continuing with? I think we fire a second barrel on an ace and king, even though the king looks good, looks better for their range, for their straight range. I don't think a 2 helps, or a 3 helps, or even a 4 helps. So I think what we're going to do with these draws is say we're going to have that, with the 2 card backdoor draws, we're going to do like ace 2, 3, 4. We obviously have the ace 5 because that's a bottom pair type hand. 6, 7, 8. I think all of those aces. I don't think we're going to do it so much with the kings. 8. King 10. King jack, king queen. 7, 8 we could bet. 8, 6 we can bet. 7, 6 we can bet. 6, 5 we can bet. I think those. So there's a couple hands that we don't bet here. I think some of our bets could be 10s we would bet. Pocket pair below the second pairs. I don't know. I think we're going to probably just be continuing 50% of the time. Because I think we're looking for hands that can improve our range. So heart, I think we could fire again. Obviously, if we're doing for value, we're still going to do it. Club, we're gonna bet again, and so forth. So I bet 6 against 2 opponents. I think it might be better to go a little bit higher to 8, perhaps, and just kind of applies pressure. So villain 1 calls, but villain 5 folds. So this was the guy that we were expecting that he would call. So let's go back to here. Let's take these out. This is who we're playing against. That's his range. We've got 7.99. We have 106 combos. And on this board, Jack 9-5. Now, overall, we have 52% equity. He has 48%. Flop. All right, so this is my betting range. And I'm still going to say I do think we're going to be only c-betting about 50% of the time. what does he call? So for him, I think he's going to call with these draws. King Queen gives him a gut shot. He might call that for once. I think he has those flush draws. I think he's calling top pair plus. I bet he calls with tens, probably with the eights. 10, 9, 9, 8, and probably with 6, 7, 8. 6, 7, 8, because those he could back into a straight. And that's about it. And again, the gut shot's just that King Queen. So let's see where we go from here. He's continuing 64.1%. He's got 59 combos. And you can see with his calling range, he does have equity on me. 9 of spades hits. And that gives us 39% equity versus 60%. So he's definitely going to have, pair type hands. He checks. Now, assuming that I continued, now we have to think about what's going to be our betting range, what's going to be our value range. I do think our betting range is going to be top pair, and I think all top pair, even that Jack 10, because I could see him calling possibly with the club draw. And when you look at the flush on this board, he's got 7%. If I bet, what do I think he's going to call with? He's going to call with his top pair. If he doesn't believe that we have a jack, he is going to call with his pocket pair below the top pair. So with his tens, I think now though he'll give up his pocket pair less than that second card. He'll still call with a flush draw. I think he'll give up with the gut shot with the king queen. I think he'll say it's not worth it. So I think overall he's continuing with 61.8%, which means that possibly he's gonna be pair heavy. So let's fix this. Let's get away those, because we do have some equity to call. Top pair hands. We're gonna do ace jack for value. We're gonna do the overpair for value. I think we can still fire a flush draw because now's the time to get value from it. We'll fire open-ended straight draw. I don't think we could fire the gut shot. I don't believe. I guess he folds 39% of the time. So I guess, yeah, we can still bet our gut shot. And I think with that gut shot, let's do these. We're going to be heavy on that. What else could we check? So maybe it's not all flush draws that we're going to be betting. We're definitely going to be betting the flush and open-ended straight draws. Definitely those. Should we be betting for value with more of those tens? Well, okay, so some of those flush draws are the pairs. So that's true. So yeah, let's check those out. So let's take out ace 9, king 9, queen 9, 10 9. Because that gives us 3 of a kind. 9 8. 9 7. Jacks. We don't have the jacks. So that fixed it. That made it better. I think that's closer. I think with our nines, we just check behind. Because again, I don't think he has a whole lot of flushes in his range. So if we do that, that's our betting range. It reduces us down to 60%. 111 combos. We're gonna say he calls with those hands. So he's calling 61.82% of the time. And he has 34 combos, so he is really defining his range, and his range is going to be value heavy. I didn't bet that. So then the 5 of spades comes out. So with the 5 of spades, then if he checks, then we have value. So I would bet all of the full houses. I would check over pair, top pair, and everything else. We have value with this range. So I think, I mean, showdown value. With the strong full houses, we were betting and hoping he gets called. Maybe he has a 5, possibly. Which I'm not sure if he would. But I have to think that if we bet, we're only getting called by solid hands. So I think if we bet, we're only getting called by possibly the overpair, top pair. We're going for value with that full house. And if I have a full house, then it's possible that he has a full house too. So my strong full house is, jacks, the 9s. Definitely if I have pocket jacks and I bet he raises, we're probably just going to call. But, over pairs, we've got value. Now, that's not how it played out, because here he checked and he has 100% of his range. Oops. Let's take that out. He has 100% of his range, which is 100 and a, whoops, sorry. That was going to be mine. He has 100% of his range. That's 55 combos. He checks and we checked behind. So now, what are we going to do? We have to take these out. Because I think we would have c-bet those. And that means we have that, and that. We don't have the, we're going to say no open-ended straight draws, no gut shots. We have our overpairs. We don't have any of those. Quads could have been a check. I'm going to say quads can be a check. And full house is probably a check too. Top pair, we are going to get rid of the ace jacks. There we go. All right. And let's add the rest of this in here. All right. So this is our checking range, which is 44.3, and the number of combos is 363. Which I think we have some extra stuff that slipped in. 5 spades hits. And now, based on that, let's see how we look. So my range's equity is still at 39.6, and his is at 30.4. Now, with this, he checks. And do I think he's going to check a full house? Probably not. Do I think he's going to check quads? Probably not. I think he's going to look for value. So I think he's doing this. He's got nothing over pair, nothing. And that means that I kind of think we should be betting our full house at that point. What does he do? He checks and I check behind. So if he checked, we have those. Let's say he checks that. And then we bet that, and you can see still, I think his calling range, or at this point, he's going to still be ahead. So what does he show? He shows pocket 10s, and I did have it. I had pocket 10s, pocket pair below top pair. So I kind of think if I bet the turn, he's probably not going to believe me, so he'll call. Maybe. I mean, the possibility he folds, but definitely I don't think the river. Once I check the turn, I can't bet the river and get him to fold. He's gonna call me. Um, so how I played this? Not overly good. So I had Ace King. Did I have Ace King in this analysis? Um, no, I don't. Definitely, I guess Ace High I do. Um, and that was because it checked through. So I think I lose the Ace King, especially this King of Clubs, um, on the turn because I would have bet it. Now I think if a club comes, I could easily fire that second barrel, but since it didn't, I think you just kind of have to give up the hand with that Ace King. Um, if we know this player is going to fold a lot and he's turn honest, then we can probably bet with most of our hand, most of our range. But versus this unknown, I have to assume he has a pair. He's connected with his flop. All right. Hope you enjoy. Let's look tomorrow for another hand.